I'm glad I've been joined by very distinguished members of this debate, and one of them is a professor, an associate professor, Professor Ndina Vyekwaso. Is actually a lecturer at Indeja University and multiple other universities. This evening we chose Professor Kajabako Karusoke, who is joining us very shortly. Kajabako Karusoke is going to take us through what they call the concept of global terrorism. The concept of global terrorism. What is global terrorism? What is their mission? What is the mission of global terrorism? What is the concept? What do they mean when we talk about global terrorism? What is terrorism anyway? And what is the ultimate mission of keeping especially African nations under the threat of terrorism? As he comes, I will describe for you at least what I know about terrorism. Terrorism is commonly defined as violent acts or threat of violent acts intended to create fear or terror, perpetrated for an economic, religious, political, or ideological goal, and which deliberately targets or disregards the safety of non-combatants, e.g., neutral military personnel or civilians. Another common definition sees terrorism as political, ideological, or religious violence by non-state actors. Some definitions now include acts of unlawful violence and war. The use of similar tactics by criminal organizations for protection rackets or to enforce a code of silence is usually non-labeled terrorism. Though these same actions might be labeled terrorism when done by a politically motivated group, usage of the term has also been criticized for its frequent and undue equating with Islamism or jihadism. While ignoring non-Islamic organizations or individuals, in the international community, terrorism has no legally binding criminal law definition. Ladies and gentlemen, the word terrorism is politically loaded and emotionally charged. And this greatly compounds the difficulty of providing a precise definition. A study on political terrorism examining over 100 definitions of terrorism found about 22 separate definitional elements, e.g., violence, force, fear, threat, victim, target, differentiation. In some cases, the same group may be described as freedom fighters. Now that's interesting. By its supporters and considered to be terrorists by its opponents. The concept of terrorism may be controversial as it is often used by state authorities and individuals with access to state support to delegitimize political or other opponents, and potentially legitimize the state's own use of armed force against opponents. Such use of force may be described as terror by opponents of the state. At the same time, the reverse may also take place when states perpetrate or are accused of perpetrating state terrorism. The usage of the term has a controversial history, with individuals such as ANC leader Nelson Mandela at one point also branded a terrorist. Ladies and gentlemen, a broad array of political organizations has practiced terrorism to further their objectives. It has been practiced by both right-wing and left-wing political parties, nationalistic groups, religious groups, revolutionaries, and ruling governments. The symbolism of terrorism can spread human fear to help achieve these goals. Terrorism comes from a French word, terrorism, and originally referred specifically to state terrorism as practiced by French government during the 1793 to 1794 reign of terror. The French word terrorism in turn derives from Latin verb terror, meaning I frightened. The terror climacus was a panic and state of emergency in Rome in response to the approach of warriors of the Cimbri tribe in 105 BC. The Jacobins Jacobin cited this precedent when imposing a reign of terror during the French Revolution in 1917. After the Jacobins lost power, the word terrorism became a term of abuse. Although terrorism originally referred to acts committed by a government, currently it usually refers to killing of innocent people for political purposes in such a way as to create a media spectacle. This meaning can be tracked back to Sergei Nekhavi, who described himself as a terrorist. Nekhavi founded the Russian terrorist group People's Retribution, or HAPI, in 1869. In November 2004, a United Nations Secretary General report described terrorism as any act intended to cause death or serious bodily harm to civilians or non-combatants with the purpose of intimidating a population or compelling a government or an international organization to do or abstain from doing an act. Ladies and gentlemen, we can have 1,000 definitions of terrorism, but at least I've given a background of what terrorism is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this evening we want to look at what they call global terrorism. We are looking at powerful nations, especially the Western powers, how they inflict terror on African nations for the sake of keeping us at bay and also taking or accepting their interests. Mr. Izadino, you have dealt with international bodies as a journalist for the Washington, D.C., and New York Times in Washington, D.C. I want to take the podium as Professor Kajabo comes. You can give your own background about the concept of global terrorism and what their mission is for the sake of African nations. By the way, this time I'm very specific on African nations.
Thank you very much, Brother Irumba, Mr. Moderator, for the topic, which I think it is very vital for all Africans to understand what is the situation of black man in the world. This global terrorism, it is white supremacy or white male privilege. And this white male privilege is about opportunity and opinion. These white people, for example, when people speak right opinion about, if white people pass in the road, everybody will say, oh, look at them, how white people, they're the one who are doing this and that. And it is opportunity, because whenever you apply for a job, you will never be given opportunity better than that they give it to white. And their supremacy it is about survival, or it is about white genetic survival. And the war is with the people of color. And people of color, when I speak about the people of color, the main target among the people of color are the black people, because black man and the black woman can cause the annihilation of white genetic. They will finish. If white man married a black woman, the child is coming black. If a black man married a white woman, then the child is black too. So they have a threat. So the main enemy of the white people is a black man. That's why the time of the slavery, they used all kind of terrorisms, rape, killing, pillage, and other kind of terrorism to keep the black man under slavery and not to cause the damage or the vanishing of the white genetics. The white supremacy is a global. It is a global. It covers all human activities. You can see in entertainment, education, economics, different activities, different human activities is involved white supremacy. And they are the ones who are creating this kind of rules, regulations for how the world is supposed to be run. And there is something called a world new order. Then when we come to terrorism, I think we should not wait for the white people to define the terms for us, and we become the equals of the white people. If you see many the terminologies which is used today in Africa and across the third world, most of them they are invented by the white people, and without going back, we need to define it and to see it logically, does it fit on us? But we take it as it is and we try to equal it. So there is the New World Order, New World System, this kind of, but we don't have any definition. We don't understand why and how they made this system. So it is the white supremacy system. This white supremacy system is designed by engineers. They are engineers, they are players, and they are actors. The actors, they don't know why the system is designed and how it was designed and what is the purpose of that system. That is why the white people, they are the only people on earth who committed a genocide against Africans, against the indigenous in America, against the Japanese brothers and sisters, and against the Vietnamese. And none of them was called terrorism. Let us see the terrorism which is invented by the United Nations, or United States, which is running the world white supremacy system. If we come to in 60s, whenever somebody appeared to enlighten and open the minds of the black people, they killed that person. They will never allow that person to continue. And they started in Africa. They started in Africa. It is the CIA who killed Patrice Lumumba. And I think they never declared this. Only last year when on the website of the CIA, they said that it was the CIA who killed Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba was killed simply because he said that Africa will never be free until the day comes when the Africans are writing their own history with their own hands. Then also they killed Brother Malcolm X, Shabazz, and the Brother Malcolm X, he has given two options to black people in America: either to live under, instead of to live under white supremacy, slavery, it is better for them to come back to Africa or to be separated from the whites. And he has given a help to white people. That's why he was killed. Then we come to 9/11 terrorist attack, which they claimed was created by, was executed by Al-Qaeda, which the leader was Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden was an engineer. He's a Saudi citizen. Not only Saudi citizen, he's Yemeni in origin, and he studied in America.
So who trained him? America?
Yeah, the CIA, they trained him. The day of, I don't want people to take what I'm telling for granted. You must do the research to make confirmation of what I'm saying is true or not. You watch the documentary called Exigist. Exigist will show you how the Bush administration planned for for the 9/11 attacks to make an excuse to invade Arabia and Afghanistan. And on that documentary, the number one, in the first day, when the day of the attack, none of the Jewish who owned most of the part of that building was available in the day of that time. Number two, the family of Osama bin Laden on the same day, none of them was at his home, at their home. They were all taken to somewhere nobody knows. If you watch the buildings, the building collapsed before the arrival of the airplane. And if people using the logic, the building which is hit by the aircraft will scatter about 20 to 30 meters away from the base where it stands. But most of the buildings came down. The very sad, very embarrassing for the Americans was that the building number fourth, it collapsed before before the aircraft reached it, because the difference was maybe half of the seconds where the building started collapsing. Now, the investigation from the scientists, they said that the steel which those buildings were made, none of the countries has a capacity to have that kind of steel, only America. And the weapon that can melt it, it is only in America. That's why most of the buildings were melted and they came straight up, down. Somebody may ask, why do they this? Why do all these people are doing, the white people are doing this? The act of terrorism, it is for the domination. The domination, the more there is a peace, the more people comes together. The more they are united, the more they will reject the exploitation of the white man. That is why they have to create such kind of confusion, which normally the white people used to say, if you can't teach them, confuse them. And white people never lie, but they cheat. And that is the way how they cheat the people across the world. And the terrorism, they don't terrorize the world only using the weapons or the killings. No, they can terrorize people with other means, like man-made diseases. Ebola, HIV, when I was a student, I remember when I was a student in Egypt, they told us that the HIV was brought by Congolese hunters who were chasing and who had sex with a monkey. And I think it is very difficult to catch a monkey and have a sex in Africa. It will take for you like 2 months to catch a monkey, but because we have only...
Yes, they would have used the 2 months to search for a monkey.
Yeah, we don't have a lack of sex in Africa. It's not a problem. It's not really a problem. So also they brought the Ebola to terrorize the Africans. When the Ebola appeared in West Africa, America brought 26,000 Marines. Imagine this is a disease, but they brought military. What is the work of a military with the disease? You know, brothers and sisters and the dear listeners, 85% of world resources, global resources, are in Africa. So, if the indigenous people or the Africans are open-minded,
did you say 80%?
85%.
This is in terms of what now?
In terms of natural resources, where minerals or agriculture, they are all in Africa. So if Africa is independent, then white people and the Europeans, where are they going to eat? You see, there is a European Union, which was found yesterday, and it was stolen from African Union. But they refused and fought for Africans not to have a unity. They have their currency called Euro, and we were supposed to have Afro. But they fought. And how do they fight? Whenever those freedom fighters who understand the situation in Africa, they kill them and they bring stooges. Those Mr. Yes members. And in America, they call them house niggas. They call them also Uncle Toms. Whenever they come and they tell them we need this and that, they will say, yes, sir. If the white man tell him that jump, he will say, where? So these are the kind of people, they educate them to come to rule Africa. That's why in Africa we have only few leaders who understand the interest of Africans and who understood the white supremacy. So, can you remember, if you remember, Gaddafi, President Gaddafi was killed because he committed genocide, or it is called not genocide, it was not reached to, again, crimes against humanity. And at that time, only 52 people were killed in Libya. I have it, and the report was from Reuters. Meanwhile, in Darfur, the time that report came, 400,000 people in Western Sudan, in Darfur, were killed by Arab militias, Janjaweeds, and they did nothing. Instead of protecting those black people in Darfur, now they came and tried to kill Gaddafi, and they brought a confusion for Libya. And the confusion and the intention of bringing confusion to Libya, because first, number one, Gaddafi was trying to empower African leaders because he started reading African history. Secondly, when he was sanctioned, or Libya was sanctioned, they were African leaders who broke the United Nations sanctions against Libya, and then he came with his own weight to help the Africans. So when he used to come to Africa, whenever there is a financial crisis in certain African countries, he used to supply them, he used to pay them. And then the white people, wherever they come and tell the Africans to give them whatever they want, and the leaders refuse, they said, oh, Gaddafi is spoiling our slaves, so he must go. Then he was killed. Another, number two, the objective number two was when Gaddafi was killed in Europe, in the European Union, the liter of fuel was about €1. When he was killed, it went down to 54 cents. 54 cents only. Secondly, they want to depopulate African continent, because when Gaddafi was there was no immigration from African countries to Europe. When Gaddafi is not there, they are the one who are renting, the white people, they are bringing ships to transport Africans. They take money from them and they take them to the risk. If they die, if they feel good, if they arrive, then they tell them, oh, well, we shall give you we shall give you the resident permit because you are refugees. And they made the greatest row and a fuss around the world on BBC. Oh, African countries are not able to bring democracy. That's why most of the populations are running away. But the idea is to kill them and to achieve white supremacy objectives. Yesterday, there was a post on social media that said about 70 billion years, they found a 7 billion years radiation in African continent. Radiation, that means our ancestors in 7 million years back were having a nuclear, and they were in highest technology. So when people were commending the white woman and the white man from America, when the brothers were commenting on it, oh yes, we African did this and that, they were very annoyed and said that, why do you speak about racism? This is a kind of a racism to feel good, because the knowledge has nothing to do with the race. Well, whether you are black or you are white, this is addition for the human intellectual. So I was annoyed. I was saying, Madam, you celebrated the loss of Christopher Columbus by the name of discovering America. Meanwhile, he was not, and he discovered nothing. Every big year, you celebrate it, and you feel good about it. Why not us, as black people, not to feel good good about the excellence of our ancestors? What's wrong with that? Then I was attacked by most of the brothers, also in Africa, because the Uncle Toms, they have to defend the white people. So for Africans, I will say my conclusion would be for us as African people to be free, because because still we have this Boko Haram, Boko Halal, ISIS, whatever, and it is created by the United States of America, united by CIA. I remember in the year 2005, I was in prison, politically detained as a managing editor of the Citizen newspaper in South Sudan, and I wrote an opinion. They put me in jail, and they put me with those Al-Qaeda group because they wanted to terrorize me and let me fear those with the big beards so that I can not do again, or I cannot write whatever I wrote again. Unfortunately, I was with them, and the guys will show me that that they are bad guys, but at last I knew one thing, that they told me all the story that the CIA, when they are recruiting those terrorists, they will bring like 20 people or 100 people, and they will bring you a piece of paper and give you, if you are Muslim, then you write. They will tell you, write this surah or this verse. If you write, they will tell you, you stay aside. If you don't write, they will tell you, stay on this side. Those who don't write, that is the ones they are taken then. They don't take the one who reads and reason. So most of the guys whom I met, they were all of them those who can read and write. And they lecture them, they teach them, and they can work on drugs, they can kill, they can loot, they can do, and they will smile while they are doing all these atrocities. So my advice for us as black people and African people is we must go back to ourselves. Coming back to ourselves is to do our own research of our own life, of our own education system, of our own everything, so that we must be independent from white people. Otherwise, we will continue on this white supremacy or the white privilege white system, up to the end of this world. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned to the Pan-African Live Debate, and we are live here at Fairway Hotel, and we are always here from 5 to 9 p.m. every Friday. This show runs live on 2 radio stations, and one of them is Tropic FM in Mubende, and the other is Great Africa Radio. We're in Imbarara, and my producer, Namara Fiona, is telling me you are loud and clear. Let me invite Professor Njuna.
Before I talk about the topic, I had in mind something to do with terrorism. What the white supremacy points out. That is where people bomb and kill others. And that's what I had in mind. But my brother has painted a different picture. And this is what I had in mind anyway. I wanted only to look at world terrorism as defined by those people from the West, by the white supremacists. And then I wanted to conclude it by comparing with what they are doing as terrorism itself. Before I would come to that one, today I got disturbing news. I was coming from the parliament. I had wanted a draft which the NRM has agreed in principle to pass on GMOs. My brother Irumba had told me he would give me one, but he has failed to give me one. He says it was stolen. I don't know whether he was also compromised. So I walked to the parliament. When I reached the parliament, I think my effort was never wasted. I got confidential information that when we are fighting GMOs, actually the members of parliament have been given sacks of seeds to plant, and they are already in saturation. And that they gave them the seeds the last season. Ladies and gentlemen, they have already poisoned us. While in the developed countries, at least they will...
Actually, Professor, I'm sorry to intervene. They have not only given them sacks of seeds, they have also given them sacks of money.
Yeah, you are talking about sacks of money, but I'm talking about those people who are listening to me, who do investigative journalism. they go and ask the members of parliament, don't disturb me about my source because my source will be in danger. Did they receive the seeds to give to the people, to plant in their constituencies? And if they received the seeds, did they accept what type of seed they were being given? So you can write a story, you news anchors, those people who are on those, they should tell Ugandans that actually secretly GMOs have been introduced in Uganda. Secretly, actually this is terrorism. Through our members of parliament, we elect so that they can defend us. Instead, they are the ones who are being used to kill us. I am asking those people who are listening to me, do more investigative journalism and tell Ugandans that GMOs are being planted in Uganda without a bill being passed in parliament illegally, so that Ugandans can know. I'm calling upon those who are listening to me, please inform Ugandans that we have been poisoned illegally through members of parliament carrying seeds of GMOs.
Most of the time
now, let me come.
We have been terrorized, Professor.
We have been terrorized. Kind of terrorism. According to the Western dominated media, or according to the Western influenced media, terrorism is defined by those people who carry out attacks to promote their cause. Actually, I think I taught some criminology. Terrorism is defined as a crime. People who kill for a cause, and that cause is a political cause. And they usually associate them to those people, according to the current terminology, they associate them to the jihadists or the Muslims. But if you study classical criminology, people who carry out terrorism are carried out of political cause. And what you call a political cause is that there is injustice in the world. If you want to study more about terrorism, read Mamdani's book, Good Muslim, Bad Muslim. I don't know how many of you have read it. It says, what they call terrorism of Muslims is political terrorism, was created by America. If you talk about, my brother has talked about 11 days, the crime which was committed in America in September 11th, that it was actually orchestrated by the CIA. I remember, by that time I was working at the NRM Secretariat, there was Andrew Man alive. I raised that issue. I said that you never know. America could have been bombed by Americans themselves in order to carry out the war on other people. And indeed, you see, once they carry war, then they start signing contracts to make money. And when these all Western countries join hands, they talk about constructing who is going to be awarded contracts. Who is going to win the contracts? They say if you don't join us on the war, then you shall not get the contracts. So you can see it's possible what Zian has talked about. But if fine, what I'm reading with what the Western world tells us, that these are terrorists like Al-Shabaab and so on. That's who go and kill innocent Ugandans who were watching football, those who killed the people at the university. Over that, where the Al-Shabaab killed people at the university, this time around, I do agree with Museveni when he said the Al-Shabaab have been defeated. They have lost the election. Because if me, I am a revolutionary, and if I have got a political cause, you don't...
Professor, I need to contradict you there. When you say you agree with President Museveni saying the Al-Shabaab have been defeated, yesterday, the Inspector General of Police announced that Al-Shabaab are in those areas of Namugongo. They are targeting 3rd June. That could be their feast. They are targeting the matters, the people going for Uganda matters on 3rd June in Namugongo. And he said they are there, they are hunting for them. When you say they were defeated, is this a creation of the IGP?
Maybe, I don't know. But what I want to tell you, President Museveni himself pulling down a story. It appeared in the press.
I saw it. But I think it's a contradiction. Because
what is a contradiction? You are going to divert me from my point of view. What I was saying is that if these people are ideologically, they are fighting for a political cause. Why do you kill people who would give you moral support? But politics is about creating an opinion about yourself. If you create a bad opinion, you start killing innocent students at the university. You start killing people. You don't target the enemy. The person who is committing terrorism, rather, who is committing terrorism, who is causing injustice, then you have lost the direction. That is in a part where I agree with Museveni, because the Al-Shabaab are ideologically lost. If they wanted to get the sympathy of the rest of the people, they would not be doing that one. Originally, yes, I'm saying, why do we have the terrorism which BBC and the other Western dominated media talk about? Why do we have it? Why do we have terrorism? And these people, normal human beings, to come and pick up guns to go and fight? Are they abnormal, or is there something wrong? In my view, there is something inherently wrong and terribly wrong, and that is the system of capitalism, where a few, they are different, the few want to accumulate as much wealth as possible, and you leave the majority of the people starving. What sort of humanism is that? The majority of people are dying of starvation. While if the few, they said 80 people, the most rich 8 people in the world, only half of the wealth in the world. Can you imagine? Now, and you post in newspapers that you have got so much wealth, and yet you say 1 billion or 900 million people, which are reported in the press, are dying of starvation. Are these people civilized? Is this human rights? Is this humanism? Is this humanity? Or these are opinions are from this side? Because of that bad system, because of that injustice, because the white supremacists are grabbing all the Western third world countries, including Africa, especially Africa, then that's why there is terrorism. And in most cases, terrorism is targeted at Americans. And they mad. Why target Americans? It's because Americans are bad. And the Americans, those few people, are not only doing injustice against the people of the third world countries, including Africa, but also on their own people. I want to assure you, the majority of the people in America are not informed, and they are deliberately misled that they are despoiled when they are also dying of starvation. Actually, America, according to the latest report which I got on BBC, the children who are dying of malnutrition in USA are like of any other country in the third world countries. America is actually a banana republic. You get it from me. Only a few people are benefiting while the majority are starving. Now, coming to the tactics which imperialism uses in third world countries. As I was saying, these people are using GMOs. If you use GMOs, as I said the other day, GMOs are a poison. Now, if you say Al-Shabaab are terrorists because they are killing innocent people. Now, Al-Shabaab maybe they use bombs, violence. What is the difference between a person who uses a bomb to kill people and another one who uses a bomb with a silencer and kills people? Is there a difference? All of them die. Now, if you use NGOs to poison the people to die, how are you different from the terrorists you call terrorists? Because you are all killing the people. If, for example, during macroeconomic stabilization, which has been implemented under structural adjustment programs, and adhered to by Professor Kinsima Mutebi, in the name of fighting inflation, when in actual fact, sucking money from the peasants so that the peasants become too poor, they abandon farming, they come live in town, and then these people, they call multinationals, want to grab land. I have informed my people, those who have listened to me, this is the third phase of foreign domination. The first one was slave trade. The second one was colonialism, which was manufactured slave trade. They made us survive. Now, they have come to the third phase where you make conditions very difficult for the people so that they abandon the land. He has been talking about that we have got the resources. Whose resources? These are their resources. Now, what they do, they have made life in rural areas unbearable. So that the majority of the people have come to live in urban areas, to live in slums, where our children do not have enough food to eat. Those who have remained there in the rural areas, child malnutrition, children who are dying of malnutrition is alarmingly on the rise. And the report is that 20, very many people are dying of malnutrition. Now, because some people have remained in rural areas, and because these people we call terrorists, feel that the peasants are still there, now they are using GMOs to poison the people, to get rid of the peasants from the rural country, so that they come and grab land. Now, if you kill people like that one, are you not a terrorist? What? How is it not as terrorism as the person who gets the gun and shoots the people? Because you are killing them cleverly. As we have said, he has said the CIA has now admitted they killed Lumumba. What I have read from the books, sometimes it seems it's necessary to be an informed ignorant rather than being informed because you believe and have a life. That's what is happening to me. I know what is happening in the world. These people commit genocide, as they did in America, as they did in Australia, and now they are doing it in Africa. I am informing you. This one I'm confident. The land is no longer yours. These people are using economics, squeeze money out of the rural areas so that the people can move out. They are using genetic GMOs so that the people can die in large numbers, so that they can come and grab our resources. The other time they talked about the privatized Naruba. And you see, what happens to them, they need something small. Because they dominate the media, then they keep quiet. By the time we realize they have taken things, like now, people refuse the GMO bill. Now they have introduced the GMO bill. By the time we realize everything will have happened, and they will say whether you report or not, they have already given the people, they want to grab them, what do you do? They come what do. So this is the white supremacy, which is terrorism. They tell us terrorism is caused by the Islamists. This is not true. Terrorist number one are the whites, led by the USA, which is committing genocide on large-scale third world countries, and is also misleading.
But no, Professor, when you talk about USA, I am looking at you talking directly to Obama, because he's the current president, and Obama is an African. So is Obama being used by the rest of the Americans to terrorize his own brothers and sisters? I understand he's coming to Kenya here. Very soon.
I think Katabago is coming. He uses the word imperialism. Imperialism does not know color. It uses anybody, including you, not claim to be an African. So long as you can accept to be used, then they will not have any problem with them. Actually, I was teaching at the Nguma University when Obama was being first elected. I said Obama is directly being pushed by CIA because America is not loved in the world. Now, Obama being an African, they want to get a sympathy from Africa. The second issue is that Obama, because he grew up in Indonesia and had some associationship with the Muslim, so they wanted to get the sympathy of Muslims and use him and actually get it from me. Obama has done more harm. To Africa and Africans in America more than any other white has ever done. So these people, they are clever people. These are people who are terrorists, who know how to use other people in order to achieve their interest of committing terrorism. As I have always said here, when we see African presidents these days, you call them the African presidents because they are black. But the truth is that what they are doing is to serve the interest of the USA-led imperialism. My former icon, President Museveni, I liked him. He was talking revolutionary literature. So most Africans do not read. Read this book, Nation of Freedom, which it contains speeches which he gave when he was in the bush. When he has come to power, that book was destroyed and is doing the opposite. My first frustration is that I don't know whether Africans will think, because the other day I'm told these people that Uganda was liberated. When Uganda was enslaved more than it has ever been enslaved before, it seems now I have stopped supporting the people claiming to be revolutionaries. Because those people called conservatives, like Obote, like even the Uganda called them reactionaries, they left Uganda for us. They left it with resources. The so-called revolutionaries.
If you think he has given a very pregnant point, can I hear a round of applause?
Yes, those are the revolutionaries who are being used by the white supremacy to sterilize Africans, and the white supremacy, the imperialists, are using sophisticated, subtle means of sterilizing the people, like using GMOs, killing people silently, and they shout loudest because the other one use open means. But the other ones, the white supremacy, the imperialists, are worse terrorists than the call